Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live with episode 8 with Patrick Osmond, Philip Burton with Between Two Hats. Today we are blessed, we are excited, and we are absolutely pumped for our guest, Luke Tomaszewski. I hope I said that right because it sounds like Mike Wazowski, but it doesn't be spelled like that. But moving forward, Luke from ProxyPics is the bold, blue-eyed closer that has a bunch of experience in the real estate game, in the evaluation game, in the appraisal game. And we are so excited to learn more and more about yourself, about ProxyPics, about your time in the SFR industry, and so forth. So, dude, welcome to the show, man.
Cool. Patrick, Phil, thanks for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah,
was
man.
was that intro as promised? I mean, how good do you feel after he does that for you? Like,
Well, now I put two and two together with the title and the two hats that you guys have. I clearly can't wear one, so.
right? But you have the right hairdo, man.
Exactly.
I'm right there with
Hey,
you.
listen, the true bold, the true roses are bold.
We couldn't call between two butts, so we gotta, Between two hats works better.
Well,
exactly.
You know what's interesting? So I was gonna squeeze in the Harvard graduate, okay, in the intro, but I didn't because from what I can see here, it was
Short, just a
Harvard
class.
It was just a class, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
okay.
The reason why I didn't squeeze in there because it was just a class, and then I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like I'm looking.
Hold on.
No.
Technically, you are a Harvard graduate.
Technically,
right? But you did the thing that we all want to do. So you want to get the title, but not the full.
How many classes at Harvard have you taken, Pat?
I've looked at a couple for the reason that he did his.
I got none. So I think we run with, I think he ran the school for a while. I think he was
End
Harvard.
of the day, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, we've got our official first Harvard graduate on this podcast.
This is exciting. Harvard.
Yeah, exactly
right.
right.
To make it more interesting, I never finished college, but I went to Harvard, so quite the accomplishment there.
That's
See?
There's
Good Will Hunting was written about Luke.
There's Good Will Hunting was written about Luke, you said?
Yeah, that's right. He's working in the steel mill and on the docks and just said, I can fix that. I can fix that valuation for you. I know how to appraise that. He just, there was an apartment up on the board and he appraised it without doing it while he's mopping up. He just appraises stuff right there. Yeah, that's how he got started, guys. It's
Many
amazing.
different hats. Exactly.
That's right.
So Luke, just for the viewers and listeners listening in, so we had Jessica, who's on Luke's team, reach out to us and request some time on the podcast. So here I am, prepared to meet Jessica, and then this bold, blue-eyed genius just rocks up on my screen. I'm like, "Hey, Jess." I'm like,
well,
hey.
Exactly.
He's like, "Hey, bro, it's Luke." I'm like, "Oh, shit."
Was there a little renovation done, Jess, that we don't know about? Is there some maybe there were some changes that we should talk about? But we'll leave that. That's personal.
Get into that later. Exactly.
Yeah, very personal.
So we weren't. I wasn't prepared at all. But hey, look, we're here right now. We're gonna learn a ton about you, and it's gonna be interesting. We're gonna learn about you live right now.
Perfect.
So, dude, the stage is yours. Tell us your story.
Yes, I mean, if we really go back, just turned 40 not too long ago. So if we go back 20 years, really start off the professional career, like I mentioned earlier in the call, back in, high school, very early days of college, was doing, construction in the summers, really enjoyed that. The way that I ended up on the appraisal side of the world was, parents were simply refinancing their house. Some guy was walking through the house, taking measurements, photos. I asked him, who are you? What are you doing?
Why are you in my house?
Basically. So he explained, he's an appraiser. I said, what the hell is that? He gave me a bit of information on that. And I found it cool and interesting. I had an interest in housing because of construction. That came and went. A few years later, the Chicago Association of Realtors, they were offering appraisal classes. So I thought, what the hell? Let's take the classes, became a licensed appraiser. And that's really how things kicked off on the real estate appraisal side of, the industry for me. I was by far the youngest appraiser, couldn't legally drink when I started appraising, while most appraisers are, in their mid 50s. Right now, the median age is upper 60s at this point. So I'm not the youngest anymore, but still, in that regard. So that's how the whole appraisal side of the world started. And then, opened up my own little appraisal company in Chicago. 2008 came, everything hit the fan, as we all know. And we really started doing different kinds of appraisals. It was all foreclosure appraisals, especially, in the city of Chicago, we had a lot of that. And, shortly after that, that's really how the idea for ProxyPics really spun off, is from what we're doing on the appraisal side, where I was driving an hour across town just to get to the other side of the city to get photos of foreclosed houses. And that's when Uber, Lyft were becoming popular. This crowdsourcing terminology was becoming a bit more accepted. And I just had an idea where I'd love to pay somebody a few bucks that's, hanging out in the neighborhood to get me a photo, opposed to me burning 2 hours driving. And that's how it really started.
All right, Phil. I'm coming in with the questions, dude. I'm coming in.
I love it.
All right, I'm coming. I'm nosediving this one.
Pat is super excited about this, I can tell. So yeah, let's see.
All
He's
right,
gonna get deep in your weeds here.
Straight in. Okay, you ready? So,
Ready.
out of everyone who offered you money to get a better appraisal on their property, which one had the
Yeah, what was the best
what was the
envelope or side
best
offer?
pitch? Like, what side offer was like, all right, I'm gonna hook you up?
Oh, there were so many. Before '08, there was, not as much regulation as we've had with, Dodd-Frank and the HVCC. I mean,
Yep.
I'd have people offer me, before all the regulation, it was, cash, at the door usually. And, the
Really?
typical appraisal fee might be, $350 up to $550. And, in some instances, people would try to double that fee, saying, hey, here's the magic number.
Yeah, boy, it'd be great if this house was $1.25
Right.
million. What's that envelope doing over there? That's not mine. I don't know what that
Oh,
is.
exactly.
If you took it, no one would miss it.
So yeah, the offers
Wow.
were there, but it just doesn't make sense. I mean, if you look at an appraisal, I mean, if you really try to inflate the value and, do what you're not supposed to, you could really quickly get in trouble with the
Oh,
state, lose
yeah.
that license, and taking that extra $300-400. It's just not worth it.
And it raises a lot of red flags too, right? I mean, there's percentages that they already know what it's gonna slightly be. So if
Oh yeah.
All
you
right,
know,
all right. One second.
I know I got one if he doesn't ask it, because I'm gonna ask it.
All right, now let's put appraisals on houses aside. What
Sure.
about insurance jobs on roofs? Were you ever involved on the roofing side where there were people that were doing an insurance claim?
Nothing on that. So what we're
Okay.
specifically doing the appraisals on is for, a mortgage or a refinance
Yeah.
transaction, nothing insurance related. One fun story, when I was doing construction on the roof, I was working for a Czech guy, and we were putting plywood down on a new roof that we're installing. And just to be safe, he put a harness on me, tied it to the chimney in case I fell, just so we're safe. An hour later, he comes, running, screaming at me not to move, because he realized that the length of the rope was longer than the length of the hum. So,
Oh, like bungee jumping with too
No.
long of a cord.
exactly.
Wow. Wow.
So I have some roof experience. Yes.
Did you run? So this is all in Chicago, right? Where you started that
Correct.
business?
Yep.
How
Exactly.
how many mafia owned homes, or the mob story stuff did you run into? Did you run into any of those guys?
Quite a bit. Nothing crazy. I mean, I had, one house that we appraised, probably an hour outside of Chicago's, on a pretty high hillside in the southwest suburbs. Story there was that was a former mobster that owned it. The reason he had the house on a hillside is so he could see the FBI, if they were coming from far away.
That's amazing. I love that.
Supposedly tunnels under the house. We've done, appraisals for Italian developers, pre '08, and they'd give us a lot of, faulty
Encouragement.
paperwork to show, that this thing sold for this much, while you could totally tell, the whiteout
Hey,
was
Luke.
here, they
Hey,
copied
Luke,
it
you
here.
got to put the right price on it, all right?
Exactly.
We're not going to have any problems.
It's written in marinara, but it's going to be okay. We'll be
Exactly.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke, we don't want you to sleep with the fishes, all right?
Just go ahead and sign here.
So yeah, we've had our fair share here. It's Chicago.
I want to tell you a quick story too, because it kind of ties into what we're talking
Yeah.
about. So I grew up in Utah,
Perfect.
and as a kid, my dad had a very, pretty normal life. Sales guy, owned a couple businesses, and he was always surrounded by some very colorful characters. And I always knew this guy, his name was Ken McQueen, and they called him Queenie. And the rumor was that he was part owner in the Bunny Ranch in Pahrump, Nevada.
Oh, wow.
And the chicken ranch. So he was involved, and those were all mafia funded, brothels and stuff. And he was a cool guy, super not intimidating, really funny, always life of the party. But he had this house in Utah, and I'd never been there as a kid. But my dad was always, yeah, there's tunnels between the houses because they're all his. He owns the whole block.
Yeah.
Sure, sure, sure. So fast forward, I think I was in my mid-20s. I go back for a wedding, and he's there with his daughter. This is before I was married or dating anyone, and his daughter was there, and we're dancing, we're having a good time, and we end up hanging out that night. And she's like, well, you're staying at a hotel. Why don't you just come back and stay at my house with my dad and my mom? And because everyone was close. And I'm like, great. I show up to the house, and it was total like like scene out of a mafia, 1940s house. And he was sitting there, and he goes, hey, Philip, by the way, my room's right down the hall. I'll be up all night. I'm like, great. Message received. And so I go to sleep. She's in the other room, and she comes in to wake me up. I'm like, you can't be in here. Your dad's insane. He's sitting right down there. She goes, no, I want to show you something. Come with me. And we go down the stairs. We go downstairs to the bar area, and she moves this wall, and this big metal door opens, and there's stairs going down. There were tunnels. He owned all 5 houses in the cul-de-sac. There's a big cul-de-sac. They owned all 5 houses, and there were tunnels between them all for that very reason. And I'm like, what are we doing? She goes, well, we're going to go to that other house because he's here. And I'm like, God, all right, I'm in, but I'm going to die. So yeah, that was my first real connection to any of that stuff.
I swear to God, I swear to God on my life, no bullshit. I promise you can ask my wife, Kiara, those tunnels is my dream. Like, I swear to God, like my family, my kids, let's say, for example, God blesses me with, say, 5, 6, 7 kids, whatever it is that we get blessed with, right? Oh my God, imagine we own like a cul-de-sac. Oh my God, not even a cul-de-sac, but just an area or something, right? And we're all connected. No phones are allowed in here. We come, we chat. This guy's in government. This guy's in tax. This guy's in finance. This son is, you know what I mean? Yeah, my son, one son's got beef, and one other son's got, insurance. Just going for it. Go.
That's the mafia, or you're a polygamist, or I mean, coming from Utah, we got that part covered too.
I'm going to stay in utilities. I'm stuck in utilities. I'm good.
Okay, good.
I appreciate it.
Well, Conservice is one of the biggest companies in the country for utility billing, right? And they're based out of Utah, so maybe you're onto something.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
that.
It's
crazy. This is where our minds go during these calls. So
they just
welcome
perfect.
Welcome to the show, Luke. So hey, Pat talked a little bit about going to Harvard, doing a class. That was very interesting. How long were you in? Did you do it remotely, or were you in Boston? Did you spend time in Massachusetts? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no. It was an in-person class.
How long was it?
HBS? 6 days. So it was cool. I mean, very intense. Again, I never liked school, but it was a very interesting class that got referred to me on like negotiating tactics. But very good setup with the way that Harvard had it. I mean, I landed on, I think, a Sunday afternoon. Your first class was in the evening, I think 7 or 8 p.m. The way that they have it structured is very detailed, where first class is in the evening, probably 5, 6 a.m. They send you an email with a case study. You've got to read that before breakfast or during breakfast. Classes start at 8 or 9 in the morning. And it's very fast paced. I mean, they're throwing new case studies at you 2 to 3 times a day. You've got to try to fit that in between, classes, meals. Every morning you'd wake up to a new case study before breakfast. You'd have to get up early. They'd break you up into group sessions where, the instructor would present a scenario to you. You'd read your side of the case study. You'd be on a team with other folks that would have a different side of the case study. And it really came down to, breaking up into, separate sessions, negotiating, based on what that case study is about. And at the end of the day, yes, you wanted to get, the best deal for yourself. But the biggest failure in that class was if you walked out of that negotiation not accomplishing a deal whatsoever, which, some people did, where they just couldn't come to terms. But I think as long as you came to terms, they taught you how to, maybe if I want this outcome, maybe it won't happen. So try to figure out a few different ways to
get the best possible outcome.
Exactly. So just come out with something opposed to, we just couldn't make a deal. That was the biggest failure of, that class, if you did that.
That's really cool. So it was just negotiating, or specifically, what was the negotiating framed around?
It was all negotiating tactics. So just in general,
give us 3 tactics right now that you learned from that course.
Ooh, put him on the spot.
Biggest walkway for me was, let's just say I walk in here and I want to sell you something for $500 and you say, God, no, it's way too expensive. Most people would simply walk away from that. But, what they taught you in there is come about that, maybe a different way where instead of you buying this one item for 500, maybe I could sell you two for 8,000, as stupid as it sounds, or just a different way around it, or throw something else into it. Another cool, case study that they gave us was, God, this is going back maybe 100 years or so, where somebody printed out, portraits of, let's say, Abraham Lincoln, and they were getting ready to distribute these for some kind of marketing event that they had back then. And they realized, holy shit, we never got rights to this. So, the normal person would go back and say, hey, how much, do I have to pay you to use, this photo? But they totally flip it, on a different way, where instead of me coming to you saying, hey, Phil, how much I have to pay you to use this? I'm going to come back and say, hey, Phil, I'm going to distribute this to 1,000 people. How much are you going to pay me to do that for you?
Yeah. Right.
So
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Instead of
Is
it
that
costing, it's like, I'm going to do
negotiation?
you a
Is that
favor.
negotiation or is that marketing?
It's
It's
both.
everything. It's everything. I mean, you got to mash it into, one thing. You market, you sell, you negotiate. It's all,
So
one
cool.
thing. So it was really
That
cool.
one thing that you just said enticed me and generated my interest to go and see if I can do that course.
100%.
It's cool. It's worthwhile. I mean, and it was funny because I went there, with the intention, yes, obviously I want to learn something,
Yeah.
but, I'm running, a few different companies. So I still have to work when I'm out there. The way that they set this thing up, don't go there with the expectation of I'm still going to run my, business.
No,
There's
you're
no way how you're
enmeshed.
doing it. No, you're
Really?
fully engulfed in this because I'm telling you, it's class case study lunch. And then literally 5, 6 in the morning, you better start reading that case study or you're not ready and you look like a complete asshole
Oh
because
my God. And
it's
there's
not just
probably
for
no
you.
quarter, right? They want you to suffer if you're not
Oh,
prepared.
that's the whole point of it. Yeah, you're suffering because you're in a group setting. And if you don't know your role in that case study, you're useless to your entire group. So you're not
Wow.
just failing yourself, but the whole group.
Wow.
Oh my God, this sounds
So
so
it's intense.
fun.
It's cool. It's intense. You're going to be tired, but as long as you learn something, it's well worth it, is how I look at things in
What's the
life.
cost
It's not cheap. I think it's like 15 grand
for a week?
for a week. Luckily, it includes, housing, food, all of that. You got to cover your own flight. But again, money's money. I look at it as a resource. If you could
It's a
spend money
long-term
to,
investment.
learn new things, it's well worth it at the end of the day.
Heck, and what they taught you mostly is how to market that fact that you've got a Harvard education, right? Like, I mean, I know you don't present yourself as a
No.
Harvard grad, so we don't want to. We're
Yeah.
teasing you, but
I
anyone
know.
that's listening, he didn't come off and say, well, I graduated from Harvard,
Yeah.
summa cum laude. It just adds to the story, right? Because
Yeah.
in sales, you're in sales for ProxyPics, right? You're
Yep.
selling your company's services to the SFR world.
Yes.
We're just storytellers.
Yeah.
Both Pat and I are on the sales side. He owns his own business. And being a storyteller and having arrows in your quiver, right, of things to talk about that make you
Oh, yeah.
different than the other 10 people that have been telling them the same BS is the value prop.
It
Your
is.
company has to bring value, but
Of course.
obviously that's sort of the expectation is if you're there, your company better know how to do what you say it's going to do.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And
And you got to
then
enjoy who you're working with too. I mean, if
100%, brother.
yeah, that's what it comes down to.
And coming out of there from Harvard, you came out wicked smart, right? Wicked smart from Harvard.
Hey, Phil, bro, your Boston accent and your Australian accent are the exact same.
Well, it's all the same thing. They're all the same people.
Phil, give me your Australian accent.
Oh, okay, hold on. Hold on. That's so funny because it is the same. Hold on. Put another shrimp on the barbie.
Just different text.
That ain't a knife, mate. This is a knife. So this morning,
Oh, wow.
Pat, I did hot yoga this morning because I love hot yoga, Luke. I try to do it every day if I can. And if my boss is listening, Preferred Floor and Tile, I was there at 6 this morning before work hours, of course. I got up at 5 just so I could get there and then take all my calls. But yeah, the gal that was in class just up in front of me, who's with some other people I know, I knew her from tennis. I just haven't chatted with her a lot. She turns around and full on hardcore Australian accent. And all I pictured was you, Pat. I'm like, God, this isn't working. This is not what I wanted to have happen. And I'm like, I just, it threw me off, but she had a strong Australian accent.
Oh, man.
Was she like, so my father, okay, my Australian accent to the average American is strong. But
Yeah.
when you go to Australia, mine is weak as hell. Oh my God. Like, for example, if you Phil, you'll meet my dad one day. I'll bring him to Arizona, or you'll be in Dallas or something. When you see my dad he was born in Iraq. He obviously we're Assyrian Christians, born in Iraq. He left Iraq in 1966. He landed in Australia in 1966. So he was like, I think 4 years old when he landed in Australia. My dad's Australian accent, you will be shocked. If you see him, you'll think, oh, this guy can't speak English. But when he answers the phone, he's like, oh, g'day, mate. Yeah, how are you?
Let's go. I can't wait. Oh my gosh. It's like pulls the mask off. I got
Yep.
I
you. It's
swear,
Crocodile
people still
Dundee.
go, "Whoa!"
That's
Wow.
cool. I
He's
like that.
really strong, and he talks to me when he's at work sometimes, and I know when he's at work because he puts it on even more. I'm just like, "Hey, bro, you're turning white by the second." Like,
It's so funny. Well, it's such a strong, I guess it's sort of like if you go into the deep South or some of those areas where those accents get super, super strong and
like Louisiana or something,
yeah,
right?
Louis, oh, exactly. That Cajun,
Oh,
Creole,
yeah.
whatever they're speaking. And yeah, God, that's so funny. I love
Yeah,
it.
I
yeah.
was in Australia about 10 years ago, and what Australia reminded me of is if you took England and basically put it into Louisiana is what it reminded me of.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah,
perfect.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Were we just touring the country, or
A little bit about it was like business and pleasure. So landed in Sydney, and then it was quite funny because wife came with me. You guys have the Pacific Coastal Highway, so we figured, hey, it'll be a nice drive up to Brisbane, where I was meeting an appraisal office up there, and it's nowhere near the coast. We did not get any beautiful views. There was construction. There were no kangaroos anywhere near us. It
Yep.
was quite a disappointing drive. Um, but yeah, it was a really cool country to visit. I mean, yeah, we went there. I spent, 2 days with an appraisal company out there just to see how they do things differently than, the US. Funny enough, we went out there when the Aussies had their spring break, which they call schoolies, which we very quickly learned what the hell that was.
Yeah.
They handed condoms out absolutely everywhere on the beach. That was
Yeah.
interesting.
No
Yeah,
So,
way.
yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah. It's honest, no, schoolies in Australia is great. But it's very public, right? It's just condoms, drugs, everything illegal.
yeah,
Come to the beach. We're very vocal about it. I never went to schoolies. I was never part of that crowd. But
Why are we
it,
doing our podcast here? I
right,
think we need to travel. This sounds fun.
exactly.
yeah, no, it's pretty insane. Yeah, what they get up to. But yeah, no, we definitely pay our appraisers under the table in Australia. I'll tell you that much.
But you pay him in Vegemite, right? Yeah.
Too funny.
Vegemite's disgusting. Can you not bring that into the conversation,
I've
please?
eaten it once.
That's
My parents went to
disgusting.
Australia and brought it
That's
back, and I had to eat it because
disgusting.
I think it was around when that whatever that Men at Work group was big and Vegemite sandwich and all that. And I gotta try it, and
That's
I'd
terrible.
rather eat haggis. Like,
No,
I mean, it's
that's
awful. It's
so
all bad.
so,
So what? Okay, so
yeah,
Luke, tell me real quick too, because again, we try not to delve too deep into the weeds for you on your company, but I am very interested in ProxyPics.
no,
So
I'm super interested. I mean, I want to dive into the
yeah,
company today, Phil, because I've never seen the brand. I've seen of the brand, but
Sure.
Luke, I've never seen you at events. I mean, this is the first
Yeah.
time that we're meeting. I mean, you look Italian, but your last name doesn't. So
Nope.
give it to us, man. What you got?
Yeah, so like I said, the company really originated from my roots on the appraisal side. The simple concept that I was trying to solve, what we are at the end of the day is just a tech-enabled inspection company. And inspection companies, not a new concept, but just to get a photo of a house, anywhere in the US, it would take a minimum of 5 to 10 business days if you go back about 10 years ago. If you were trying to get any kind of loan, the quicker you could, close that loan, the better for you as the consumer. So all that I was trying to really do is, nationwide inspections, 24 hours or less was, the concept. Let's just do it quickly with, Uber, Lyft, the crowdsourcing stuff was getting a bit more widely accepted, more popular. I used to work for, T-Mobile, Verizon, Sprint. So I really had an interest in phones, earlier in life. And every year, I mean, smartphones just kept getting smarter. So I figured, with the device in your pocket, you could do so many things. So we really start off on that side. All that we try doing is, getting photos of the outside of a house to say, yes, it's still standing. And I mean, if you fast forward to today, we're really in 3 different verticals. It'll be the valuation lending space. SFR, we sort of, mold into the SFR side with, valuation lending because it's the same thing. we're in the commercial facility space. And then American Family Insurance. So they were hosting an accelerator program about 2.5 years ago that they invited us to. And that was our opening into, the insurance carrier space for both underwriting and claims. But really just think of it us as the Uber for photos. If our client needs a photo of 123 Main Street, if you have the app on your phone, it'll simply send you a notification saying, hey, Phil, hey, Pat, there's a job, zero point 0.2 miles away from you. If you take these photos, we'll pay you X.
Oh my God. Okay, so wait a minute. And as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking you just had the idea that, oh, Uber was easy and you have people out there or this software for their employees. You actually just have folks that can
No,
download it and get paid, like a Lime scooter kind of thing, where if you've got it and somebody's close, they can get paid just to go snap these pictures.
exactly.
Wow.
It's
Dude,
really
that's
cool.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's
Do
fun.
you work a lot with like wholesalers and people like that that are trying to cut a deal across country?
What do you mean?
Like, let's say, for example, let's say I've got a call center, okay?
Mhm.
And my call center cold calls random people that have distressed properties. And let's say someone gets on the phone and says, "Look, I'm happy to sell my house,"
Yeah.
right? And then I need photos of that house. I could go on ProxyPics and request someone go take photos of this house. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then
Exactly.
I put whatever price I want to pay. Is that correct?
We have minimum pricing. So, if you're an individual user, if you just logged in and you want to request photos, I think our base pricing starts at 10 or $15 per photo.
Yep.
If you're an enterprise client, obviously the pricing changes, but they
Yeah.
have monthly minimums.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we're doing more than just the photos. It'll be, questionnaires. We can do measurements of houses because every iPhone now, I mean, every pro device has a LiDAR. So we could literally scan the house, get you a floor plan, a three-dimensional rendering of your house with the phone that you're holding. I mean, the amount of things we could do with these phones now, people don't realize how powerful they are.
Oh, 100%. That's absolutely huge. So, do you guys also run inspection reports in parallel with the photo service? Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So, it could be, get me photos, get me data on that property. We have, third party APIs where we could actually leverage data from third party sources like the MLS, the county assessor. So, great example for, SFR operator world. Some of our clients, they leverage our folks in the field. Today we have over 185,000, folks that are actually doing inspections for us. We're in the US, Guam, Canada, and Puerto Rico today. Funny enough, we just had a client reach out from Australia where they simply want to leverage our technology because we have two sides. We have, the service side where we have the folks on the ground that can do it for you. But then we also have the standalone technology where we have companies, let's say in the SFR operator space, they might have their own W-2 employees in the field, doing the walkthroughs of the houses, leveraging the tenants to do a self-inspection. So we have a lot of clients that simply leverage our tech and, have the tenant self-inspect, have their W-2 employees self-inspect. So it's a lot of different ways where you could leverage what we've built to your specific use.
So do you guys align with or compete with company cam or inside maps, or is your service a little bit different?
It's a little bit different. The reason that I say it's different is some of those companies are very one-sided, where they might either have, just the boots on the ground or the standalone technology. We're actually doing both in-house. And the reason that clients love that is, let's say if they first want to opt in for just leveraging the technology, maybe having the tenant self-inspecting, they're going to do that first because it's a lower cost to them. But let's say if the house is vacant or if it's an older tenant and they're simply not comfortable doing it, we could cascade that down to having, a third party inspection all within the same company. So that's the benefit to our clients where we could really do it all under one roof for you, opposed to you having three different vendors.
So our biggest challenge,
Mhm.
this is so interesting, and we'll talk offline about this because we're
Yeah.
just now starting to explore ways to handle this better for our clients. But the measure requests in our world is what's called when somebody needs flooring. Some of these folks are using inside maps and some of the other technology, but it's not there to where we trust enough. So we're going to send generally someone out.
Oh, yeah.
In your case, it, would those your photos can turn what you're capturing into measurements of flooring space and how many square feet are in this room, how many square feet of this, how many linear feet of baseboard. All that can happen from the pictures that are taken.
Yep, we got a lot of commercial flooring companies that use this for that exact reason.
Wow.
And then, yeah, our tech's been vetted. We're an approved vendor for the government for Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA. And that's one of the things that they do audit us on. Because again, we have to be very accurate on that square footage or the condition of the property that we're depicting, identifying damages. I mean,
Yeah.
we took a deep dive about 2 years ago into machine learning. It was very interesting because off of every photo, if we have a photo of a kitchen, we need to tell the clients what type of countertop there is, what the flooring type is, what
Yeah.
appliances are present. With what machine learning was doing early on, it was really cool because we could teach the models that, hey, this is what a dishwasher looks like. This is what hardwood flooring looks like.
This is
It was
quartz
really
versus
cool.
granite.
Exactly. But it was very labor intensive where we'd really have to annotate these things. So imagine, we'd have a photo of a kitchen and I'd have to draw these bounding boxes around a dishwasher. And I'd have to have, a few hundred or a few thousand to teach the model that, hey, next time you see this, identify this as a dishwasher.
Oh my
But
God.
now the
that's
last year and a half
So
with
then
AI,
you just collected, you were trying to collect as much data as you can but now
teach
with
the
AI,
model.
it's recognizing everything. So everything you've done in the past is going straight in the trash. AI's come in and be like, so back then you would have wished for AI, basically.
Yeah, but it was still a very good learning experience because you still
Yeah, it makes
can't
sense.
take these AI models. You still have to fine tune them for your
Yeah.
specific use.
Yep.
You can't just take, like an open AI and say, do this. It's going to fail. It's going to hallucinate. But, once you know what you're doing, it's really cool with how powerful it is. I mean, we could feed it one photo and the amount of data that we could rip off that photo. You're not having to answer, 20 questions now because the AI is looking at the photo, extracting the data. So our thing is, if we're going inside of a house, I don't care if it's an SFR operator or it's tenant occupied, if it's a borrower, doing a refinance, we want to we want to inconvenience you as little as possible. So the faster we could get in and get out and collect, the proper data without bothering you, that's the goal.
How have the SFR companies adopted? So let's say in my case, I've got a relationship with XYZ company
Yep.
and I use you. So you just hit your app. You've got Billy down the street. He says, I'm close to get access into that property, right? Because a lot of them have to use the smart lock technology. They have to have a code.
Yep.
Are they cool with the fact that a lot of these folks are random? I'm not saying anything about your
Of course.
workforce or the people, but it's a little less controlled than it's, 1099 employees or W-2 employees. How's that been affected, or how are the companies adopting that for you?
No, great question. It comes up, on every call. So our panel ranges from, Phil, like you said, the general public all the way up to, licensed folks that have a state license. Could be a realtor, an appraiser, a home
So you can
inspector, a
dial it
notary.
into the trade. Ooh,
We could
wow.
dial it in, but one requirement that we have within the company is I don't care if you say let anybody in there. If somebody's going inside of a house, at a minimum, our requirements that they have to undergo an annual background check with us to qualify for interior assignments. The cool thing with our tech is, let's say if Pat doesn't have a background check, but Phil does, and you're both in the same location. If we put a job out there for an interior, Pat will never see it because he doesn't have the background check, within his profile. So it's not like he's getting the request and, crap, I can't do it.
Yeah, you're
He's
showing
just
up
not
the door
aware.
together.
Yeah. He just doesn't know about it. He doesn't
Mhm.
show up because he doesn't have that box checked. So it's
And,
really
and,
cool.
and it's because he's Australian too. They probably wouldn't.
No,
Hey,
I
mind,
just, I
but-
thought, I'll tell you what I don't appreciate. I don't appreciate the fact that in the example, I was one with that failed the background check.
Yeah,
That's-
Phil, Philip, we're gonna let you in
Yes,
for sure, but
exactly.
Pat, I don't know.
We'll
I
see.
don't know,
brother.
that beard, you're a bit
That's right.
skittery, and on top of that, you come with an Australian accent.
Yeah, the Australian
might get
Assyrian
worried.
accent. Yeah, watch out for
I
him.
didn't pay off any appraisers. I promise
That's
you.
right. This is really cool. I mean, we're from a company standpoint, we're really leaning into this and trying to figure out how to leverage it. It comes down to cost, of course, and
Yeah.
I know that with your large enterprise clients, the price, the pricing grids are probably all over the place. But
Yep.
we'll certainly talk after this because I need to learn more about it and get more efficient because for us it's just clunky how we do it, and it's clunky for the end user. And if we can get to where we trust your tech, which I'm sure we would once we had a few examples like any of this stuff, and eliminate having to throw a human being into a unit to measure with, I mean, we use lasers and all that, but still
Sure.
it takes time, it costs money. We're already
Yep.
spending the money to do it, and it's inefficient.
And we've had companies like you guys, be it, from flooring companies to fencing companies that really went from a regional, very small footprint to where they've been able to expand nationwide because now they're able to quote, provide estimates anywhere in the US, and they just contract, their vendors in other states to do the work that you're doing locally in Arizona. So, you could quote a job in California tomorrow and you've got your own contractors and bid it out to them at this point. So that's been really cool seeing, other companies benefit from our network in the
Sure.
tech and
Yeah.
expand their businesses at the same time.
Are you in all 50 states?
We're in all 50 states. We're Canada, Puerto Rico, Guam now.
How many users do you have on the platform?
185,000 active right now.
So they're the inspectors, right? But how many
Correct.
people do you have that are freelancers that go and take photos?
No,
Or
no.
are
So
they?
they're the
No, that's
inspectors.
those are the
Exactly.
photo
Oh, they're
takers.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Wow, that's amazing.
So awesome.
Yeah.
And did
And it's
you?
great.
How long have you been like active in the SFR industry?
Relatively new. We're about 3-ish years in SFR world. So it's very
Have you been
new
hitting
to
like
us.
the IMNs, the NRHCs? Like, have you been going to those events?
Exactly. Yeah, we really started with the IMN, but from a different side. So we got into the IMN through our clients that are the business purpose lenders, where they do these DSCR loans.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
got into that from the lending side, but
Who
then
is
we
it?
started seeing, we'll have clients like, Kiavi, Lima
Oh yeah,
One,
we always
guys
see them
like that.
IMN. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What,
Exactly. And
what
that's where
is
we started getting,
DSCR? Just for
so
those
it's a,
people listening. I know what it is, but just for
yeah.
the people listening, what is DSCR?
It's a rental loan. So if you're an investor, you want to buy 123 Main Street and your plan is to rent this thing immediately, not for you to live there as the owner, you can actually get these special kinds of loans where you're not going through a normal bank. There's companies that do these business purpose loans where if you show them that the rental income will cover, let's say what that mortgage payment will be, you get it approved nice and quick. So that's, very quickly growing segment of our market right now.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Wow. I mean, this is
For-
did you develop the tech that you use for your pictures, or is this something you bought and then you've just
Phil,
improved
Phil,
upon?
look at him. Look at him. He's a
I
sales guy.
no,
Look
he's
at
a
him.
Harvard guy. He looks like Kendall Roy from Succession too.
Hey,
So
no,
there's
hey,
something
Luke,
in
are you
there.
from where are you from originally? You from Ohio?
No, Chicago whole life.
Chicago,
Right.
but I was close, right? The
Well,
accent.
not too far.
You can
Midwest.
hear it. You can hear it.
So here's the Chicago question for you: pizza, Pequods, or Lou Malnati's?
Between those two, I'll go Pequods.
Yeah, the deep
But-
dish.
But the real answer is, we've got these little, mom and pop, shops that I prefer more than, the ones that everybody knows about. So those are my defaults, the small ones that nobody hears about.
So when we come visit you, you're going to take us to the little corner that's been there. Like, this is the pizza joint this gal's been running it for 58 years. I love that.
Basically, I had a funny one. So when we had a private equity firm that wanted to do something with us, so maybe 4 years ago. So we met at their office in downtown for the first meeting. We had a good meeting. They catered food. We were talking about all the good, Chicago staples for hot dogs, Italian beefs, pizza. So I said, the next meeting I'll host it. So it was really funny. I invited all these, private equity guys to a place called Gene and Jude's. It's a very popular hot dog shack. They meet me over there. This is literally a shack. There's no seating, no nothing. These guys were
You're
in
standing at
suits
the
and
window
everything.
getting your hot dog.
Cash only. So obviously I paid. They didn't have cash. We ordered
That's
hot dogs, and
so
luckily one
great.
of the guys had a pickup truck, so we ate in the parking lot.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Wow.
So I think
I
first time
respect
they've
that
run into
though,
that.
man. Because you know what's funny? They would have all showed up in their suits, but all their true colors would have came out by default.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? Just authenticity just would have flown out
Exactly.
the window.
You
So
quickly
they're
identify
super
who you
cool.
want to hang out with after that meeting, right?
Exactly. They were really cool. I mean, they were probably expecting, typical sit down steakhouse, whatever it might be. So,
Yeah.
but they took it like champs, and it was a fun experience.
Oh my God, I love that.
Michael Jordan's got a steakhouse in Chicago, right?
I think it just closed. I don't know if it's still active. I went there as a kid back in 8th grade.
Yeah,
It was in
okay.
Oak Brook, Illinois, but
Yeah.
I think I just read that it might be shutting down, I believe.
I'm pretty sure it was at the Intercon on Michigan Avenue.
Oh, so that maybe because he had a Michael Jordan's restaurant in Oak Brook in the suburbs. So that might be
Okay.
another one that he had potentially.
You're so lucky there in Chicago. You have so many great restaurants and
Oh, we're spoiled.
Chicago's where it's at, dude.
it's
Yeah,
a
we have
cool,
so much.
cool city.
Yeah, I mean, when we
And
were
what
in Boston for the Harvard thing, everybody said go to the Italian district for, the best Italian food. We had
Yeah.
it. It was really good, but it wasn't like, oh my God, it's better than Chicago Italian. I mean, we're
No.
definitely spoiled here. We have anything that you want to pick from Italian, Mexican, Polish, I mean, Greek, anything. It's amazing.
And
yeah.
there's just so many cool areas. I think Chicago, I love Boston. My wife is from Massachusetts, from Boston, outside of Boston, a city called Dover. Her family lives in Chatham, Cape Cod now, right? On
Okay,
the
yeah.
water. But I think Chicago is probably my favorite city on the East Coast. I've been to New York, but only once, so I can't, I probably have to go to New York more to throw out there. But Chicago's feel, the people, obviously it gets a pretty tough rap for the crime and stuff over the last few years, but I've never had any issues there. And I just I think it's such a cool place. The Aviary, have you been to that cocktail place?
No.
Well, it's tied to Alinea, I think is the name, the Michelin restaurant that's that big chef.
Okay.
And so he's got this cocktail bar that it's reservations only. It's very hard to get into. And the way they handle it is it's run like a restaurant. So there's not like a bar and a bartender. You get your seat, you pick your kind of flight or what you're going to do based on what they're serving for that month, I think. And everything's made back in the kitchen and it comes out in these insane presentations. It's not, craft cocktail guy that's a steampunk looking really cool doing it. And I'll post some pictures for everyone that's listening later and a link to it. But I mean, I ordered a smoky mesquite, some sort of tequila thing, and it came out in a treasure box this big, and they put it down and they open it and this smoke billows out and there's this cocktail sitting in the center, and it's the best thing I've ever tasted. And then the next thing comes out and it's this drink that's in this glass round, almost looks like a vase with a tiny flute at the top. And as you pour it, and each time you have more of the drink, it changes the flavor because it's pouring out of this special glass. So the flavors profile is changing as you drink the drink. Like, come on. Yeah. And what a cool place to take clients or folks that you really want to enjoy something with. Yeah, it was off the charts. It's one of my favorite spots.
So you're saying go there, don't do the hot dog shack like I did?
No, do the hot dog shack. Go eat at the hot dog shack. Do the drinks first, then go eat at the hot dog shack because they don't have food.
I like that.
Apparently there's a difference between obviously Chicago dogs and New York hot dogs. So Chicago dogs is, what is it? Relish, mustard,
no ketchup.
No ketchup.
Onion, right? And celery salt. Is celery salt part of the Chicago? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you do the sports peppers or the hot peppers. Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's funny, the hot dog place that we went to, I took my son there probably when he was 4. There's no ketchup there. He asked for ketchup. They weren't too thrilled. Right next door, there's a McDonald's.
Communist.
They sell ketchup now because you literally could buy ketchup for cash because so many people would go next door
walking across the street.
Quite funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a trip.
First time I went to Chicago, one of my cousins said, you have to go to Portillo's.
Oh yeah.
So I said,
100%.
all right. So we went to Portillo's, and I promise you, I swear to God on my life, it was a life-changing experience. It was unbelievable. I had it, the whole thing, the double dipped. I went to the whole 9 yards. Then we had a Portillo's open up here in Texas.
Yes, I've seen that. They're expanding.
We have them here in Arizona now too.
Yep.
Do you have one in Arizona too?
Yeah, we got a couple of them.
They're in Florida now too.
I had the one in Texas, and when I say to you, I've never gone back. I've never gone back because the one in Chicago did not compare to the one in Texas. The one in Texas is terrible. Like you have the culture is there, the vibe is not, and that's what happens.
Anything when they franchise or they expand. No offense to any private equity companies out there. When PE comes in and buys the entrepreneurial business and then they ruin it, run it into the ground.
Yeah,
it almost never scales. It's like Lou Malnati's is a good example. We
have
those all over the place here.
The quality percentile decreases. That's it.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
I think this is kind of fun for this call that we have and this podcast and for the people listening, because it's about the people that make those businesses what they are. You've got some mom and pop or someone with a vision in the restaurant business, or like us in our businesses. We put our heart and soul into it. We don't show up and sell a product. You're not selling a service. I mean, that is what your business does, but it's you that they're buying.
Exactly.
You and Jessica and whoever else is on your team.
Yeah.
Those are the folks that people show up for.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
These restaurants, they build that location or that flagship, and they try to replicate that. And it usually, some do it well, like Hillstone yeah, Hillstone's a good example. They're good everywhere, but it's still kind of chainy, right? It's not that
Yeah.
personal
Dude,
feel.
dude, McDonald's, believe it or not, right? I swear to God, 1 second. McDonald's, the best double cheeseburger I've had in my life was in China.
Yeah, because it's the
Yeah.
same.
McDonald's in China.
Yeah, because you're not
Honestly.
eating cat or dog there. You're getting an actual burger.
Exactly.
So yeah,
That's
no
actually
offense to our Chinese
it's
friends.
actually the opposite. It's probably dog over there.
Yeah,
No,
Phoenix,
but
Phoenix
the
or
cheese,
tiger soup, cat or dog soup. That's the
cheese
story.
and McDonald's in Australia, the fries McDonald's Australia 100% are different. 1
Yeah.
billion
Oh.
percent.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
But it's all give or take the same. But for us overweight people that know the details and the taste, we can tell the difference.
Yeah. I mean, I've had
I
McDonald's in
wonder if
Europe
there's a
and much better.
McDonald's French fry cologne out there. Maybe we need to market something because
Oh, God.
that smell when you get those French fries and you put them in a bag and some salt and you hide from your wife because she doesn't want you dying from coronary disease. So you eat them in your car and then
Yeah.
leave the bag in there for a week. That smell is really
Yeah,
special.
it's
Yeah.
strong.
Okay.
It's strong.
That is scary.
Yeah.
That is a good one. Yeah, I don't cheat on my wife. I don't have to hide anything other than the fact that I like to sneak out sometimes and eat a McDonald's fries down the street.
That's
Too funny.
I know, it's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. You just you gotta get it in quickly.
This is so fun because you've got a great energy about you. I want to tell one other funny Chicago story for me, and this is when I first started in the flooring business. I was in finance and as a stockbroker doing that from Phoenix, though never in New York. And I get into the flooring business and I have to travel, and we're going to go meet with Equity Residential, which is a big multifamily ownership group. At the time, it was our biggest client, and the company I was with was sending us out there to have a meeting in their corporate office. And my boss, who's a good buddy of mine, was flying out of Colorado, and I'm flying in from Arizona. And we land at around the same time in O'Hare there, and I'm dressed in a polo shirt and just a suit coat, like suit basically, right? Nothing else. And he's in like planes, trains, and automobiles with the earmuffs, the hair, the thing, because this was whatever deep winter is. I forget. It was like super cold November, December,
Yeah.
whatever. And he's looking at me like I'm crazy. I go, what is wrong with you? He goes, you're gonna freeze to death. I said, buddy, I'm gonna be fine. I grew up in Utah. I know the cold. He's like,
Nope.
yeah, okay, fella. So we get on the L or whatever, the train,
Yeah.
and we're taking it in. It's brisk, but I'm like,
Mhm.
yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
And we get off whatever our stop is, and I remember the stairs were covered and they go down, and that was still nice.
Yep.
But I'm like, it's getting a little chilly. As we turn and get out of that environment and step onto the street, I was like, ooh, that's different.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
I got cold, but I'm like, I got this. He's looking at me laughing the whole time. He goes, yeah, it's just 2 blocks up and then a right. And I guess where their office was along the river. So
Oh
that
yeah.
wind just rips
Oh,
down
the
there. And
wind
yeah,
ripped you.
I don't know this. So we're walking along and I'm, putting on the brave face. And I'm like, buddy, I got you. I'm a little cold. There might have been a frozen tear kind of, but I got you. And he's just watching. He's going first and he kind of lags to make the turn and looks for me to kind of make that turn. And I could see his coat, like he's pushing against the wind. And I make that turn and it was like daggers going through my body.
Yep.
It was the coldest instant experience. It's like jumping in a cold plunge for me. Like it was
Yeah.
instant. I'm dying. I'm not going to live through this. And we had like 2 blocks to walk up into the wind. He relished every second. Frozen snot, the whole thing. It was so bad. And when we went in the meeting, I was able to get through the meeting and walking out. I go, buddy, I got to buy a coat. And I forget there's
Yeah.
some vendor on the street, like a Walgreens or whatever it was
Of
there,
course.
selling a coat and gloves.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I bought everything that I could buy.
Makes
Hey,
sense.
Phil, how did you go from Utah to Arizona? That's like so extreme. How did you
Well,
go about that?
they
And
kicked me out.
obviously, what do you prefer?
They kicked me out of the state. 1989, it was still, I
What do you
think at that
mean? What do you mean
time.
they kicked you out of the state? Give me the details.
Well, okay, so Utah, and I love my LDS brothers and sisters. Utah at that time, rough facts were, I think it was 80% Mormon, right? LDS, which is huge, right?
Stop
Huge
picking on
percentage.
people. That's your problem.
What?
Or you stop picking on people.
No, I was
Bro.
I was
Bro,
the one
come
being
on, man.
bullied, brother. It was me. They were picking on me. I was a little 120-pound wisp, and I actually was baptized into the church as a kid because both my parents, their parents were brought over by missionaries. Dad born in Denmark, mother Aleppo, Syria. And so the church was instrumental in how they ended up into Utah. So my parents wanted to support their parents' wishes, but didn't really dig the church. So I actually am technically a Mormon, baptized. I can wear the magic underwear if I want to. Never practiced the church. And having done that in Utah at the time, it was rough. If you weren't in the club, man, they let you know it. And as a kid growing up in our neighborhood, we call it 200 or 300 homes in our neighborhood. There was only 2 homes that weren't Mormon. And they let us know that by when I tried to join the Boy Scouts, they would tell my parents the wrong days and times, so I wouldn't be able to show up. When I rode my bike around the neighborhood into certain cul-de-sacs, there was a time where a mom came out and said, "You can't ride your bike here." And I'm like, "Okay, but I can." And I'm riding around and she came back out with a pot of water and said it was boiling. "I'm going to pour it on you if you don't get out of here." And I'm like,
My God.
all right. So I went and got my mother, who was 5'2", Armenian, and basically like, what's the drummer Animal from the Muppets. And I sent her in there and she took care of that lady real quick so I could ride my bike anywhere I want, including her driveway after that. And so that's what I grew up around, being excluded because I wasn't part of the club. And so my dad, sorry, long way to get to your answer, Pat, but my dad had the forethought in being in business and seeing that he knew I'd have a better opportunity to be in business if we weren't in Utah because I wasn't in the club.
Wow.
So he moved us to Arizona. He also had business. He was
How
working with
old were you when you moved to Arizona?
18. I finished senior year of high school in Arizona. Yeah.
Wow.
That is
That's
nuts.
huge.
It's wild.
So,
And
Phil, sorry, I know this is Luke's podcast, but Phil, I'm just so obsessed with you, brother. So, so you're half Armenian, half what?
Danish, 50-50.
Do you speak any Armenian?
I used to know some of the swear words and, a lot of the food because I still cook the food. My mom has passed and her family, we're not tight.
May she rest in
A lot of
peace.
her family's used but no. And I used to know some Danish because my dad spoke Danish, obviously. Yeah, my dad was a dreamer and was illegal in this country and didn't know it. His mom brought him in through Canada. I think when he was, I want to say 4
Lucky
or
Trump
5.
wasn't in power when your dad
Right?
came.
Yeah, well, you're not getting in, fella.
Yeah.
And he didn't know until I think he was 40 or something. He got a call or a letter from immigration said, "You're here illegally. We're going to deport you."
Oh
And
my God.
I remember the feeling around it. He was freaked out. But what was interesting back then, you could, as a state Supreme Court judge, could naturalize you in the court. It was, the system was very different then. But in Utah, they could naturalize you. They could make you a naturalized citizen. You're supposed to go through a bunch of process, and that's how it happened. My dad played tennis at our tennis club with one of the top justices in Utah at the time and said, "Hey, Bill, I got this problem." Bill said, "Come to my office Sunday. We'll put your hand," and it disappeared. Like, that's how it used to work, right?
That is cool.
Yeah.
Still works like that in Chicago. It's who you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. See, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So,
Yep.
That's insane, Phil. After this podcast, I want to just share some stuff with you about Armenians and Assyrians and how we're connected.
buddy, there's a lot of
Um,
connections.
Luke, what's your ethnicity? What's your background?
Parents came from Poland, so back in 80, what would have been 82. So, and then I was just born here.
Wow. Wow, you speak a language?
Yeah, both speaking right.
Do
That's
you really?
awesome. I love that.
And did your parents make that a point because they wanted to have you raised in the culture and make sure that it's something that
Yeah, very much so. I mean, again, they didn't speak English when they arrived, so the only way to communicate with them was Polish. They definitely learned English over time, but yeah, I mean, they definitely wanted to instill Polish in us. When I was young, we go to Poland almost every year just to visit family. And then even now, we still take our kids to Poland almost every year. It's just cool to see other places. We still have 2
Absolutely.
grandmothers that are alive, so they get to see them. And the food's great, so you can't go wrong with
Yeah.
that.
How cool for you to take your kids to and let them see outside of this little bubble we live in here in the US, just to see
Oh,
how
yeah.
other
Yeah,
countries
course.
and cultures and
Huge.
Pat, it being Australian, there's just so much more out there. Not good or bad. It's not, it's not politically driven here. It's just there's just other, right?
Yeah.
And to go see it and feel it, and then you
Oh,
can
yeah.
make your own assumptions and conclusions and feelings about what you like, what you don't like, what you feel. And yeah, that's pretty cool.
Mm. Mm.
And you said you have one son?
One 10-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter.
God
Oh
bless.
boy.
God
Yeah.
bless. That's
So
So you're in the
it's a
thick
fun
of it.
age.
that's
Yeah, it's and two very different. The boy was a lot easier, and the girl, my God, is she demanding? Just at the age of 4, it's scary. So
Dude.
yeah,
Pat's about to have his first child, so he has no idea what we're talking
congrats.
about. But yeah, buddy, it's coming your way, and it is. I have 4 boys, and I have a daughter now, and the
Perfect.
difference is night and day. Right?
Yes.
I mean,
Really?
oh, just so different. And Rue is very special. She's very chill and just got a cool sparkle to her. So as kids go, she's one of the easiest kids I've ever been around. And then my boys I love them to death. They're great kids, but they put me through the ringer. So having an easy girl has been nice. But the emotion part, right? Like this just happened a couple of years ago, the first time. She's so even keeled and very cool. And then one morning we're getting ready for school and she looks at me and she just starts bawling. And I'm thinking, you stepped on a scorpion or, you got struck by lightning. It was so visceral. And I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong? What's wrong? And she says, I don't know. I'm just crying. And I'm like, I look at Liz, my wife, and I go, that's on you. I don't know what to do. Like there is no, this operating
Wow.
instruction does not work here. Robot, danger, Will
Oh, yeah.
Robinson. I do not know what to do. And it's been that way ever since. And she just, when the emotions hit, I'm like, babe, I just love you.
Yep.
I have no idea what to say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We had the
That's
same thing
crazy.
last night where 4-year-old lost her folder to school and she said it was red. Wife said it was orange, and the 4-year-old started crying because of that disagreement
Yeah.
in color.
How dare you? It's like,
Exactly.
no, it's orange. You're,
Yep.
you're doubting my authenticity, my trust. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
Oh my
so yeah,
God.
totally different boys and girls.
Oh,
Well,
that's so wild.
I got a boy coming. I mean, based off fundamental, what I believe is logic, I'm just like, okay, I think I can handle a boy. Girl, I can't handle. I'll tell you right now. No, I can't.
Yeah.
Because dating Kiara and then as we were, evolving, every girl I've dated in the past, I've noticed a consistency in just the way, that they work. But
Well, yeah,
with all due
you have a
respect,
type.
well, with all due respect, yeah, my type is bolder with a beard and a
Yeah.
nice round
Yeah.
cowboy hat.
His name's Carl, not Kiara. Yeah.
Too
I'm
funny.
glad to see you switch back. It's good. Okay.
But yeah, I just think I don't know. I don't know. But then again, I think I always can handle whatever's going to come my way.
Of course.
You'll
Which I
adapt.
can. Which I can.
You'll-
You know what I mean?
100%.
Look,
Yeah.
you know that being a parent of 2 kids, it's just
Yeah.
you just pivot, right?
No different than this conversation. We're going God knows where. And I think, raising kids is the exact same way. Every day is going to be different and
That's
you'll
right.
figure it out. So
So let's just dive back into ProxyPics real quick in the SFR industry. So I just want to, because we're heading up to the 1 hour mark, and I just want to, hopefully create some YouTube shorts and stuff from this. So what have you found that owner operators have benefited from ProxyPics? Like, what was it about the platform that they said, you know what, this is huge. This has really helped us.
it'd be nice if they said that right away, but it takes them a minute, for it all to sink in. But when it does, they've had some really cool things. We've had some clients that have, a lot of SFR operators, they might have, some solid footprints in specific markets. They might have their own W-2 staff, but they might have other markets where they're, scattered sites. They might have acquired another company, and it's really not worth it to, hire W-2s to, service that market. So what they really like is that they could really quickly scale up, using our folks to, get into the house, let them know, is it vacant? Is it occupied? Did somebody break in? Why the hell hasn't it rented after 45 days? And, they can leverage our boots on the ground and flex that really quickly. And we could tell them, the place is a mess on the inside. That's why nobody's renting it after all
Gotcha.
these showings. So, they've loved the ability to how quickly they could scale, in markets where, it simply wouldn't make sense for them to do that.
Mm.
And then,
So
a lot of the tech,
speed of finding out information is a value
speed of
prop.
finding out and not having to hire your own folks and then, firing them after a month because you can't justify that salary for, 10
100%.
houses. You've got that. They love it. We love building things. One thing that I definitely missed when I, left the construction side and, was, you built something and you could physically see what you did. When we got into the appraisal side of the world, all you have is a little PDF or a piece of paper. So I sort of missed that, of you building something and seeing it with software. I know you asked, I'm not a developer by any means. Had to hire that. That was a whole different story with what a pain that is if you have no tech background, starting a tech company. But what's cool is, just like construction, where we could build things to solve headaches for clients.
I love that.
The data is a big one. We could inspect 1,000 properties and they could really quickly figure out which properties have damage. Just, we'll give you a CSV with all of the answers and you could see, these properties have mold or, a roof issue and, make that decision
start to
quickly.
notice trends and probably by neighborhood and zip code. And in
Exactly.
this zip code, 90% of them are going to have this issue or yeah, God, that's so crazy. With folks, when folks work with ProxyPics, are they getting you? Are they getting Jessica? Like, tell me a little bit about if I'm, a big SFR company
Yeah.
and I'm leaning into you. Tell me about your team and what that looks like, because I think, as we stated it earlier in the podcast, it's about the people. So I think if
Yep.
they're going to watch this and go, I want him. And so, do they get you right? And if not, or they get a version or a part of you, who is it that they really lean into so that they know what they're getting?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always there. I love what we do. I love the business. Interacting with the clients is great. But at the end of the day, I'm not the one, making the business great. It's the, folks that we've got. So, my philosophy's always been if you got the right people on the bus, they take care of the company. So that we've got an entire, marketing team, operations, customer service. So, I'll be on that initial demo, we'll explain the product, we'll configure it to, what services you need. But then we have a great, ops team that'll, take care of you with, setting up the templates. We have a great tech team that, enables the, integrations or the APIs between your system.
Oh, that's huge.
So God, no, it's not just me. If it was just me, we would not be talking here right now.
Yeah.
The company wouldn't be as
Of course.
successful. Um, and it's cool. I mean, I think we're
Well, we
up to about
started just
48.
you, and then from there, the green the team grew, right?
It just grows. Yeah. I mean, we started with, just me, and now I think we're at, 48 people on
Oh,
this side of the
wow.
company.
That's
So
significant.
Yeah, it's awesome.
quickly moving. Yeah. So it's a
Oh my
lot of
God.
fun. So what we love is, just talking to clients, getting a deeper understanding of, their business, their pain points. And then it's fun just to, build solutions to that. So instead of, burning a bunch of monch on,
Just the
marketing
tech
and
side. Yeah.
sales,
You're
we love,
actually
innovating.
creating something that's not there for folks. I bet with every
Exactly.
new client, there's some need that's uncovered that you're like, hey, we didn't think of that. And now you go innovate your
Yep.
your product for them.
Yeah, the last time, and we sat down with an operator, and he said it would be really cool if they could have like a side by side from the inspection that took place in January to the inspection that took place in March. And as we talked to them a bit more, we understood, when that tenant's moving out, if we could very quickly assess that the kitchen looked like this when you moved in, and here's a side by side when you moved out. It's a very clear story, why you might keep that security deposit or why you might
Yeah.
not get it back. So what we quickly did is we built out a function where we're matching up, each room type to the prior inspection on the same PDF. So on one PDF, I could have a kitchen photo from, March, and then I could have a kitchen photo from May side by side. So you could tell
Buddy.
what those differences are. So it's really cool things like that we love to do here.
That's amazing. I am so, we're going to talk, more about this after the call. This is really cool. I mean, you're filling a need that's significant and
No, it's huge.
both sides,
Are you
operator
coming
and
to,
vendor.
Yeah.
Are you coming to NRHC in Orlando?
I've got to check dates. I have so much travel. It's ridiculous with us, straddling through different verticals. We have, mortgage-based conferences, facility conferences, operator ones, and now insurance. I mean, it's every month, I'm on the road probably 2 weeks out of every month right now at a minimum.
Wow.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. If you're not there, I'll sing your praises because,
Thanks.
we're trying to look for this solution in our business, and having talked to you for the last hour or so, I can tell you're the kind of person that I want to align with, and I think the operators would feel that too after getting a few minutes with you. So,
Oh yeah, it's fun.
and that's what this podcast for is for folks to see you. It's not just a tech
Oh no.
sale. It's not this thing that's unknown that looks like the
Yeah.
other names of the other companies they know. you're the real deal. You're fun. You've got a great
Yep.
energy. You can tell you
Yep.
love what you do, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's pretty special.
And we're just
Well,
starting, so we'll keep
Yeah.
it going.
That's huge, dude. That's huge, man. We're pumped. We're pumped to see you more and more in the industry. Hopefully,
Thank
this
you.
podcast can get you out there and yeah, man, drive the growth of that business.
Perfect. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for episode 8 with Patrick and Phil with Between Two Hats, and we were blessed with our special guest, Luke Tomaszewski. Did I say it correctly, Luke?
I mean, equal to most telemarketers, but close enough.
So how do you
take it.
pronounce it before we let you go? Say your last name properly for it.
Tomaszewski, but
Tomaszewski. All
yeah,
right.
not an easy one.
Tomaszewski.
Perfect. See, better than a telemarketer now.
Yeah, but you
There
know
it
what?
is.
If we just substitute the W before the S at the end with the F, then I would have said it the right way.
You just want to
close
say
enough.
Mike Wazowski because you love Monsters Inc. and anything Disney or Pixar. So I know what's happening.
That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. We'll catch you on the next episode. This is once again Pat and Phil featuring Luke Tomaszewski from ProxyPics. God bless.
Peace out, folks.